I would like to call the February's meeting of the Santa Cruz County Office of Education, Board of Education, with a roll call, please.
Trustee Acosta. Trustee Estrada.
Here.
Trustee Larson.
Here.
Trustee Roth.
Here.
President Sanchez.
Here.
Trustee Van Allen.
Here.
Trustee Williams.
Here.
Student Trustee Hopkins.
Here.
Student Trustee Marcus.
Here.
You have quorum.
Thank you. Now I'm going to ask our superintendent to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Excuse me, President Sanchez, agenda item 1.1 was missed.
Okay, do we have any requests for what attendance approval?
We did not, but we did get notification from Trustee Acosta that he will be not able to make it today.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
If you are able to, please stand. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm looking for approval of the agenda.
I'm happy to make a motion to approve, although, as I understand it, item 9.6, the potential board policy, we had a mistake in the committee, so we'd like to pull that from today's agenda and we'll be back next month.
Okay,
Of 9.6, so I would move approval of the agenda omitting item 9.6.
there's a second.
I'll second.
Right. Yes, sir. No comments. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Perfect. Now we have public comments. This is the opportunity for the public to address the board on any item that is not on the agenda. Each speaker may speak up to 3 minutes. And we ask that you please identify yourself by name if you choose to do so. Do you have anybody that would like to speak?
Yes, we have public comment request from Shalak.
Just me? I'm just representing myself. I'm not representing anything else. Am I too loud?
Can you turn your mic on?
All right, start the time.
Make sure it's green on that, so click the button to make it green.
There we go. Thank you. There's really supportive. I love that. First of all, thank you all for your service. I appreciate it. I appreciate how much that you show up in the community and are visible for our students. In addition to that, I'd like to advocate for, if you have the time, to attend Inside Education. Some of you are doing that. I think it's a great way to see what our school system's like. The other thing that the board does when they participate in Inside Education is they ask a lot of questions that other people aren't comfortable in asking. And I think that's amazing role modeling and a great way to put some of the faces with the names that you guys hear. The other comment I want to make, and it's sort of on the agenda, but I want to talk about it vaguely, and it's the concept of donations. Really having another funding source. People believe in what they invest in and what they pay for, and they want it to see success. If there's a great way or an easier way for public to participate in being able to donate to the County Office of Education, whether it's a program like, I don't know, like a PTA for alternative ed, since alternative ed does not have a PTA type program, but having another funding source that the community can pay into and have a visible stake in is, I think, always a wonderful thing. I think anytime someone donates, they show that they really care about what is happening with that entity. Again, thank you for your service. Thank you for your time. Shalak.
Thank you. Anybody else that'd like to address the board?
We have another request for public comment.
Hi, my name is Jim Bond. I'm representing the Santa Cruz Astronomy Club. By the way, I'm shocked. The water board has this.
I'm so sorry.
At the very
Start
end.
the timer for you.
This will not take 3 minutes. The bad news is what I'm going to talk about is barely touching education, so I apologize. The good news is I don't have any complaints. Yeah, I've been to board meetings. So here's my question. It's a question. Is there somebody in the county that I can talk to about lighting around the schools. Specifically, there is an opportunity for us to help educate science students in the schools on astronomy, and all we need is a dark sky. So my proposal, and this is just an idea, is the Astronomy Club, of which I'm the president, could help fund motion sensor lights around a couple of the darker schools like San Lorenzo Valley or maybe Mid-County. If I'm crazy, just say you're crazy and that's fine. But if there's someone who I can at least start the conversation with, I'm not going to ask the school to spend any money. We have funds that we can help with. And again, my only carrot to you is that we have people in the club. For instance, the guy who runs the astronomy club at Cabrillo, he would help. We could help your science teachers teach astronomy. We have equipment. We have people who are used to speaking and educating, and that's my carrot to the county. So my question is, and if you don't have an answer, that's fine. You've got my contact information. Is there someone I could talk to begin conversations?
Thanks, Jim. I believe we have you mentioned we have your contact information, so we will follow up.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I just like to make a comment, not a commitment. I think this is very important, actually, and not only for astronomy and science, but for birds. Birds are very affected by nighttime lighting, and it confuses them. We have tremendous numbers of species and populations of both local birds and migrating birds that stop through here. And nighttime lighting is one of the worst things for them in the urban context. So if there's anything our schools can do to reduce that nighttime lighting but make it safe, like providing motion sensors, so when someone's there, there's a light that goes on. I like this idea, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public that would like to make a comment?
None that I see, President Sanchez, and none on Zoom.
All right, thank you. Moving on, we have the consent agenda. Looking for comments or an approval.
I move approval.
Second, but you can.
Yes, thank you, Community Foundation. First and second, all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Correspondence. Do we receive any correspondence?
No correspondence other than what was included in the packet from Assembly Member Gail Pellerin's office.
Perfect, thank you. All right, now we are in student trustee reports. And we will start with Trustee Marcus.
So I actually have a couple things. For one, the county mock trial competitions. Yeah. Is this better? So the county mock trial competitions are going on right now. They're kind of in full swing. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Sita Kaimal. I think she's the academic events coordinator because she's the one that runs all that. She does an amazing job. It's a really smooth event and it's really effective. I think it's a really productive event in our county. So that was one. Number two, I also wanted to congratulate the Poetry Out Loud winner, which was Brianna Venegas. And I'm blanking on the school that she goes to. Somebody might know, but I just wanted to give a shout out to that because that's another thing we did in the county that I think is really cool. And then also the school community celebration was on Thursday, February 13th. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it because I was out of town on a school trip. But I wrote a little something that I think was touched on during the event, but I wanted to have a chance to just read it a little bit because I think it'd be nice for the board to hear and for the audience to hear. So it's pretty brief, but it's just about my journey with the COE and how it's helped me and helped a lot of other students. So over the past few years, I've had the privilege of being part of several COE programs, and I've seen firsthand how much these initiatives help students, educators, and families across the county. My journey with the COE started in sophomore year, where I started organizing and volunteering at countywide math events, like the Julie Robinson Math Festival and the County Math Contest, many of which were aimed at students from underserved communities. From there, I joined Multilingual Youth Taking Action, a group within the COE's Youth-Led Leadership Alliance, drawn to its goal of promoting cultural understanding and celebrating world languages across our county. As someone whose languages form a major part of my identity, this group has provided a way to share this passion with the community by organizing and emceeing for events like the World Languages Showcase, where students share poetry and projects in different languages. My experiences with the COE's programs ultimately led me to interview for and be appointed as the student trustee on the County Board of Education. Seeing how these programs are created and sustained has deepened my appreciation for the COE's work to support our community. Being part of some of its many programs has helped me grow as a leader and a learner and allowed me to contribute to the community. And I also wanted to thank all the teachers and staff, Superintendent Sabah, and the County Board who have all contributed to the COE's mission and made all of its initiatives possible. That was just a slightly summarized version of something I wrote for that event.
Thank you.
And that's my
Really well
report.
written. Appreciate it. Thanks for sharing. Trustee Hopkins.
Just a little closer. Okay, I wanted to start off by highlighting some things going on at Cypress. Save the Shores visited the environmental science class to talk more about the effects of plastic pollution on local ecosystems and the Santa Cruz beaches. Also, the forensic science class visited the Santa Cruz coroner's office to learn more about the career and how the operation works, which I think is a really good opportunity for students to explore different career paths and possibly spark some interest for the practice. Next, I had the privilege of speaking at the school community celebration. I got to share my experience in finding the right learning environment and how building relationships between students and teachers is important for student success. I thought it was a really fun event. We got to watch some performances from a few schools around the county, and I got to face my fear of public speaking, so that was fun.
Nice. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. All right, reports, discussions, and presentations. We will start with behavioral health service and a billing fee schedule with Dr. Sabah and friends. Painter and face.
Thank you. Well, it is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Michael Painter, who's our Executive Director of Student Services, and Lauren Fine, who is our Director of Behavioral Health. I have to say that this team, which that they work with and partner with both within the COE and with a lot of districts and agencies, has probably been working the most feverishly than probably any of our programs. It's been an intense kind of pace that has been being maintained to try to set up all the systems and structures for a coordinated system to be able to maximize the behavioral health services in our county. And that includes a new billing system and just really maximizing the services that we want to have for all our students. And so it's been a pleasure. I've been meeting with this team on a weekly basis, and so I get updates, and week to week there's always so much that has happened from one week to the next. And so I just want to share my appreciation for your leadership and for your just a lot of hard work to get us to where we are today. I think that as we look carefully at how much access has changed for students, even in the midst of a lot of the kind of challenging environment we are politically, it's going to be absolutely transformative for how schools are going to be able to serve students. So I'm really grateful that Lauren and Michael are here to talk to us a little bit about what the system of care is looking like and how schools are at the heart of that system to ensure students get these deserved services.
Thank you, Ferris. Thank you, Dr. Sabah. And good evening, trustees and my friend Ferris and our leader, Dr. Sabah, colleagues that I adore, all of you in this audience, and new friends that joined from astronomy. Why not? Again, I had said guest. I should have said guest, right? And I'm just still moved. You sitting here, I don't know how we never did this before. It seems so like it should have always been happening, and so I'm always impressed when I come, and I haven't come too often. But it seems so right that you guys are here and you give your reports and you share and you take this in. You will see there was a little bit different name on our slide deck, but we view all of the services and sustainability as being an integrated effort here, and you're gonna see why. And Ferris mentioned the dynamism of this work. Well, this will be our first pass, I'll say, and we are happy to come back more times, answer in different ways. And I said some of that in my notes here, and so hopefully I won't repeat myself. But we'll go quickly. Really what I wanted to do is give an overview, tell you about student support services, and then hand it off. So we can go to, I have the clicker.
Point this way.
Yeah.
Name it Ferris,
Don't
okay.
worry about pointing, it'll
Okay.
work no matter what.
Okay, good. I'll be on the down low. So I'm really gonna take number 1, and I'm gonna try to do it in a few minutes and then hand 2 through 5 over to my colleague Lauren Fine. And as Ferris said, I'm the executive director of the Student Support Services Department, which you may know is one of a half dozen, I believe, departments. I'm joined by a couple of my other wonderful departments here, in the Student Programs Division, and which Ferris oversees, as well as being county superintendent. So I'm gonna set the table, and then hopefully Lauren will provide all the delicious dishes for you to sample. So if we go to the next org chart of staff, Michael, click. Okay, look at that. I'm getting professional, third slide. In essence, we're made up of about 30 staff, which is a mixture though, of full-time staff, retired employees, and contractors. And so I have listed all of them here. At some point, we can take this apart if you're more interested. But really, this is all folks that come with a myriad expertise in counseling, teaching, project coordination, health services. And as Ferris said, this is a dynamic, I sometimes like a startup in the middle of a bureaucracy, because what we're doing is 90% grant funded across about 3 dozen grants with about 40 budget strings. And so the staff has to just be nimble by its nature, has to be collaborative by its nature, has to be integrated and sustainable by its nature. So that's the staff one. I won't linger here too long, but you'll see the blue are in essence the people I supervise, and 3 of those are managers, one of them being Lauren here. And what we're about to do, well, let's go, Michael, keep telling someone else. This is the same department, my department, Student Support Services, but with programs listed rather than staff. And on the left, far left, is Lauren Fine and the behavioral health components, which that will be what we focus on today here. To do this, though, we do partner with all school districts, charter schools, higher ed, government agencies, probation, child welfare, public health, et cetera, nonprofits at all levels, state, local, national, federally qualified health centers, managed care, more like we have to be integrated into the community because our grants say do this work with other people to have good things happen. And so it's actually wonderful. I love the fit, and it's literally kind of built in, if you will. Built in, what do I say, baked into the cake. Okay, one last piece that I was feeling a little nervous about, but I do feel like this is friendly, and I think most people know me. There's a meta piece you're not gonna see on these charts, right? This is into my slides, and Lauren has a lot of technical, really important, robust, complicated pieces, but the how is not listed here. And I just wanted to say that I wrote some nice words, so I was gonna try not to read them, but I might look back and forth here. That I believe that the COE is a special place to work, and the reason I think that is that in student support services, I aim for something called healing-centered engagement. And this came from Sean Jenwright, who was a professor at, I think, UCSF. And he really talked about the idea that every intersection, every encounter between 2 people is an opportunity for healing, repair, and insight and growth, right? And I keep wanting to look back at Sony and Johnny, because this is the Kool-Aid that we drink. And, you know, I've known them for 2 decades, and it's a really good Kool-Aid. So if you'd like some, I can prepare some for you another time. But I'm speaking to the choir, in other words, to people I know deeply. And like a lot of professionals, though, in the education world, I think there's just too many task inputs, requests for the time available, which causes stress, causes activation of your survival patterns, right? And so to me, this idea that our whole department, everything you see up there, is really aimed at supporting families and students, and I think also staff, to have a sense of well-being, to have a sense of connection, thriving, growth in the educational experience. And to me, it seems almost easy, no, I can't use that, that's not, it just seems incongruent, that's the word I want, to not do that with each other along the way to do that for other people. And that's what I'm calling healing-centered engagement, so that we do it with our colleagues, we do it with our, the people we supervise, we do it with partners. And I think that you can take care of business while you grow as human beings together. And I think I'm saying that because part of it was to try to give, I told Ferris, I just want to give a hat tip is what I called it, right, to this group here. Because the longer I'm in education, the more I see how important it is to, I say talk on both sides of the iceberg waterline, what's above the waterline seen and known and obvious and public and viewed, but also what's below and how we are working through that, which we often do only in safe pairs, water cooler or different ways we have to do that. I think when we move that into more overt, conscious, thoughtful processes, then I think we just have a win-win-win-win scenario. And the other thing, this is the hit hat tip. I don't think that's possible without leadership that understands and supports that. And Ferris just said, we meet weekly. I can, under oath, tell you that he understands and supports this. And so I thank you. I don't know if that was good or bad, but also I think it also comes from the board, right? And I don't have as much exposure or communication with you, but I think that without the board and the superintendent of the educational entity or the LEA, if they don't believe in that, then I feel like it just goes all the way down. And I'm sort of next in line. And then what I've seen other places, unfortunately, is I'm stressed. I pass the stress on to the staff stress to the students tell the parents tell the board tells, there's this whole cycle that can happen, right? And I think my fantasy is that whole cycle could actually be healing-centered engagement. So it is the dream. I just want to say that we're doing a tiny piece in the far corner of the bottom floor here. And I absolutely know that my colleagues in the other departments are doing the same because we've had deep conversations about this. And so that was a little longer hat tip than I meant, but I would like to focus on the left-hand column. Knowing that we operate this way, we're going to now switch from heart to head, and we're going to have some delicious meals on this lovely tablecloth that I hope you enjoyed. Okay.
Thank you. Y'all head, there's some heart in there.
Always.
So hello, everybody. Lauren Fine, as Michael Painter mentioned. So I'm going to start talking about that technical piece that Michael. And yes. Oh, sorry, I'm a walker.
We
Okay.
can give you a handheld if you'd like to walk around.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, if that's not, okay, well, I'll start here and to respect your time. But so basically, I'm going to try to fit in quickly a lot of different initiatives. And so the first part of my presentation is going to be giving you information. Some is going to make sense, some you might have questions about, but they're all pieces that fit into our vision for our system of care here at the County Office of Ed. So the governor recognized, I don't know, a few years ago, that our children were in a mental health crisis, right? That was just exacerbated by the pandemic. This isn't news for any of us, right? And so he invested not him, but the government invested $4.7 billion to do a multi-year overhaul for children's mental health. And they took a whole child approach and decided to put mental health where kids are, schools. So all of a sudden now schools are a piece, they're sitting at the table, right? Prior, you had all of these other entities that were really where we went for our children's mental health, and now schools are sitting there as well. So in order to do that, the governor the initiative was called CIB-HI, which stands for Children Youth Behavioral Health Initiative, okay? And there's 20 work streams within there, as you can see here. We're only going to focus on the 3 in the yellow boxes. However, at the COE, we have engaged in other pieces of it. But as we talk about what our system of care looks like, we're really focusing on these 3. And I'll go deeper into them. So of these 3 initiatives, in the top right corner, you'll see the school-linked multi-payer fee schedule. I'm going to get into a second of what all that means. But basically, it is for schools to be able to bill insurance companies for mental health services, which is fantastic, right? Students are in schools. Well, who's going to be providing all of these new services? Schools do have staff that provide mental health services, but they need to build capacity. So they created on the bottom left corner wellness coaches, and I'll talk about them more in a second. But this is a certified position that would be for, sorry, it's yes, it's a position that offers a certificate, right? It's a bachelor's and associate's level position that would basically fill a gap in the behavioral health workforce like pathway. And I'll get deeper into it in a second. But the idea was, is if we're going to have a fee schedule and we're going to provide more services, we need to have providers to help fill in some of those gaps. So the next question you probably already have is, well, that's fantastic, but schools were not built to be insurance clearinghouses or to become mental health clinics. So how are we going to do this? And so the state offered one-time funding called the school, all these names are very long, the school-linked partnerships and capacity grants, but we're going to just call it capacity grant. And each county was awarded this money as starter funds to help build the infrastructure and capacity and see where those gaps are to help schools be able to be ready to build a fee schedule. Again, these each could be its own presentation. So let's go deeper into the fee schedule. So fee schedule means that it is a set prices for services, meaning that the state sat down, got every insurance company on board and said, we agree that for certain, like for therapy, it's going to cost this much, for assessment, it would be this much, and we're all going to agree that that's the cost of the services, okay? Multi-payer, what that means is, in this case, the payer is the insurance company. So it doesn't matter what insurance you have. You can have commercial insurance, you could have Medi-Cal. So every student who has insurance they can build a fee schedule. Okay, this is huge. This has never happened in anywhere yet. We are being revolutionary here. And then school linked, that last piece. What that means is that the services can either happen at the school site or can happen in the community as long as it was referred from a provider at school. Okay? So what that does is it means that not only is it for what's happening in a school, but it expands that bubble for providers in the community that might not have been able to serve those students because of barriers around insurance to be able to access this fee schedule and provide those services. So who can access this fee schedule? Who does this benefit? So it's basically students 0 to 25. The fee schedule can be billed by schools, so LEAs, charters, and institutions of higher education. And there's no cost to the family. There's no copay. So that's one billing avenue that we talked about, right? That's part of SIB-High and all of this. I'm going to talk about another one. So if you think about that as one highway, one way for us to create more services or opportunities for students to get services. Another one is called enhanced care management. And so in the Medi-Cal world, they went over through large reform about 5 years ago called CalAIM. And one of the things came out of it was a service called enhanced care management. And the idea is that you have certain folks that either don't use Medi-Cal at all until all of a sudden they're in crisis, or they're increasingly high utilizers, right? And so enhanced care management, I like to think of it as case management on steroids. It's literally hand-holding students and families to ensure that they get their needs met. So, I've worked with families for years, and even the best meaning families, it's overwhelming to navigate our systems, right? And figure out how to coordinate appointments, make it to, getting different resources met, whatnot. And so an enhanced care manager can work with that family to ensure, literally help them, drive them to each of those appointments to get the care that they need and their families need. Typically, enhanced care management providers are the clinics, the community-based organizations, all those other pieces of that pie that I showed earlier. However, we recognized an opportunity here at the COE to provide this service because of the populations that enhanced care management targets are a lot of the same populations that us in student support services are covering or supporting. Foster youth, kids that are experiencing homelessness, kids with extensive mental health needs. So there was a huge alignment. And one of the biggest barriers that folks have to accessing enhanced care management or providing those services is that families actually have to show up to clinics first to get connected, but we're already in the schools. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us. And so this is only for our Medi-Cal kids, but we saw it as another opportunity if we're looking at ways to sustain these programs that we at the COE can braid and leverage these two, both the fee schedule and enhanced care management to support our students. Okay. That was the lesson part. Now I'll talk a little bit about what we envision here at the COE. So our vision really comes down to two buckets. One is infrastructure and one is building capacity and building clinical excellence. So in infrastructure, we've had an opportunity where as these awesome initiatives have come down, districts don't have the bandwidth, they don't have the capacity, and they don't have the know-how to really get as involved as you need to be to figure out all these nuances of this new SIB high. So they've said to us, the COE, all districts except for PVUSD, and I can share in a while, you know what? Help us build a collaborative system, which is really smart because we're able to, that capacity grant I shared earlier, we're able to leverage our funds together to build one system. When we're talking about billing, it's going to funnel through the COE. When we're talking about our electronic health record, where we document the services, it would come through the COE. So that means any technical assistance, onboarding, training, we would be able to support those districts that probably some might have opted out if we weren't going to help them and take that on for them. We are also including all of them in all the decision making, but I think that they're really looking to us of going to all the state meetings, really understanding this, and then collectively trying to make those decisions together. So we have a couple areas where that consortium model is existing. Another way I talked about was centralized billing, also being a conduit. So as the districts are recognizing where their gaps are in mental health, right, they have their own providers. We're also able to kind of be matchmakers between community organizations and districts to figure out, okay, districts need these sorts of providers or these sorts of services. Here's community organizers that are able to partner with. So really being that conduit, because I think that, you know, schools are over here and mental health's over here. And as the COE in the middle, we're able to really see both of those lenses. So in building capacity and clinical excellence, we internally are looking at really how do we integrate the direct service providers in both of our alt ed and our student support services departments. We have two pockets with lots of amazing mental health activities going on. How do we support across and ensure that they're getting appropriate professional development and working within their scope and helping them to really strengthen those skills. And then, like I said, clarifying roles, and then looking internally as well of like, how do we create a behavioral health MTSS so that we're ensure that we're really giving appropriate level of care and we have effective services at every level. And so the way we're doing that is that starting capital I talked about. So the schooling partnership grant, we have $2.5 million we were given. The wellness coach employer support grant, this is a one-time grant that we applied for in a consortium model for 32 positions across every district in PVPSA. And we were also awarded a starter grant called an IPP grant from the Alliance for Enhanced Care Management. So that's our starting capital. And then we're hoping to sustain it through the fee schedule and through enhanced care management. Ooh, questions. I know it's a lot and I could have told more, so.
We'll start with our student trustees. Questions or comments?
No questions.
Okay. Other trustees, questions or comments?
Well, I'm the newest, so I can just say, wow. I'm just blown away as I learn everything about the COE and this program as well, which I wasn't aware of. So it's exciting, both from a familial perspective as well as a policymaker perspective, just to see that you're doing this work is important. Would love to see a copy of the slides, have those to try to digest it a little bit more. I totally get the funding stream issue. That's kind of more my background in city government, and it's hard to launch a new initiative or to expand it or to meet constituent student needs without having the resources to do so effectively in a sustainable way. And it seems like your collaborative approach is trying to structure that not only for the COE, but for all the districts you're working. Static.
Thank you.
Bruce?
Well, excuse me, first of all, thank you both. I really appreciated What Michael said about a healing-centered engagement, I think that's a really good way to describe a good approach to being people, you know? One of the very last things, Lauren, that you touched on was our sites, our schools. We have a lot. We have almost 24 places where our students are. So obviously each one isn't going to have its own wellness center. Could you say a little more about how we will cope with that in terms of our schools and, you know, getting a referral or having one place that several schools would feed people to, and then how that actually sort of logistically works? Does somebody have to have a car available to get somebody over there? That kind of, I mean, maybe you haven't gotten to those questions yet, but curious what your thinking is about that.
Yeah, sure. So I just want to clarify, it's not that we're building wellness centers everywhere. We're kind of creating the infrastructure and the capacity. But, you know, alternative education schools already have so many amazing counselors embedded into their schools. And so it just might be an opportunity to, you know, build based on the fee schedule and being able to bill for services, right? Or we're able to provide more professional development opportunities or trainings or things to that nature.
With the people already there.
Yeah, and it could mean that because of that, we look, you know, again, I'm just one half of it, so I don't want to overspeak, but you know, we could look down the road and say, okay, wow, so we're bringing in this funding and we're able to sustain this. What does that mean? You know, what do we want to build next? But, you know, we're trying to be as thoughtful, but also and transparent, but also kind of, we want to have appropriate pacing, right? Because this is all really new and it is really exciting, and we don't want to like overreach and then have to regress back, you know? Yeah.
That was really my kind of final thought, is that this is complicated.
Yeah.
And I think our COE is the good entity to be trying to pull this all together. We have the talent and the skill and the overview. But we should not rush, even though we should forge ahead as expeditiously as we can, if you get what the distinction, because it has to be done right. Leanne, in the business department here, this adds some things to her plate as I understand it, and so it's got to be done right over there. So I appreciate your recognizing that.
Yep, go ahead.
I was wondering if you could share with us how you think from a student's perspective, how, let's say a year from now or a couple of years from now, when these systems are really coming to fruition, what's going to be different? What's going to be the fruit of this work?
And I want to make
I hope there's a couple things. One, I think access, you know, right now services look very different depending on the insurance you have, maybe even what school you're at, what resources are available. And we're really trying to create more equity around what that looks like in a few ways, right? Like, yes, obviously the fee schedule, it really creates a level playing field of what services look like. But we really, one thing I didn't get really deep into is we really are also supporting districts. Like right now, there's little pockets of mental health clinicians at different sites. They don't necessarily have clinical supervision. They don't necessarily get a lot of training. And we're really hoping to help create, with the starting of the capacity grant funding, is use that to help professionalize more of, that's Michael's word. He loves that word. Yeah. Sorry, I beat you to it. Is to professionalize, right? Because mental health clinicians are kind of like these round pegs in square holes. We weren't really created, right, for schools. And, you know, what's remarkable to me is Michael and I are actually probably only the two licensed administrative folks in all of the county that work in schools. So how do we help create ways that those services, like, we understand a child comes into treatment, they work on these goals, and then they come out of treatment? Where I think right now, while there's a lot of amazing mental health clinicians, if you ask any of them in schools, they feel like they're drinking from the fire hose. And so it's just kids coming in for crisis, which really isn't a great model if you're looking to get kids like out of that tier 3 level of service. So I think I answered your question, but I think like services look more streamlined. I think you'll have better clinical practices. I think there'll be more accessibility. And I'm hoping it means that there's more coordination with community partners, because we would be in a system of care. So you have your psychiatrist in the community, maybe your primary care physician, maybe you see a therapist outside of school, that they start to see themselves as this treatment team, where in the past schools kind of felt like they were a little outside of it.
Go ahead.
I think the Wellness Center is a different initiative that was on the, the program org chart that could be its own presentation. And you probably saw Scotts Valley had a ribbon cutting, right? And so that initiative really aims at comprehensive high school settings, which is 8 in our county that we counted. And so in theory, we're aiming for all 8 ideally. Right now we have 6 sort of in our sights, if you will, with Santa Cruz City hopefully being the next maybe ones you'll hear about. I do think what Lauren mentioned is that we, as a shortcut, think of this entire sort of like when you said behavioral health services in schools. We really are saying 2 things that I feel like are our mission from Ferris, right? Which is how do you increase revenue, especially in these times right now with declining enrollment, end of COVID funds, districts are starting to struggle, right? So it's really good timing, and we're trying to like literally, to your point, Bruce, like Ferris once he goes, I don't want to be in the back of the train, but we don't need to be the engine, but can we be like maybe the second car or third car back? So we're trying to find that sweet spot to like, because Lauren has been at the very front at times and then states, oh, never mind, the last 4 months, we changed something. And so we're finding it's not actually great to be in the very first cart, but maybe the second or third. So, so we're trying to work on the money part as fast as possible without making errors. And what she called professionalization is if you sampled 20 different comprehensive adult ed settings, right? There's just different things happening at every place, what kind of notes they take, what their assessments are, what their screening is, how they move between tiers, what their knowledge of leverage resources in the community. And so Lauren has been working like overtime. How do we create a coherent, what I'm starting to call ecosystem of care that can start to, I guess, bring consistency across all of those pockets, right? And so we see it as more money, more coherence. That's literally our driving mission in this realm. And the last thing I'll say, maybe to answer your question, which is, I think on the technical side, I agree with everything. And then on the sort of, when I went back to the Healing Center engagement sort of portion of the talk, I would love, we're working right now with Child Welfare and Probation, and they have a whole thing, I'm going to link that on their whole model of practice, but one of the pieces is called natural supports, and they keep pushing for, can every student that's system involved, probation or child welfare, have a person that is their ally, their support forever for free? Because often kids move through these systems and, oh, I don't have that social worker, that therapist, that, like they're all working. And so in my mind, kind of another sort of academic inspiration is Dr. Bruce Perry, who's like one of the forefathers of trauma-informed care. He says, it's time for this Tuesday at 4 o'clock is your therapy session, bottle up everything until that hour. And instead, can the students move through the day, whatever arises? You've had 12 interactions with adults on your campus or in your life. Every one of those interactions was therapeutic. That's his vision of what trauma-informed system looks like, and what I think. And so wellness centers, more therapists, wellness coaches, like having more of this just infused and become normalized in schools, which is going to take a minute. There's a lot of, we didn't even get into culture and unions and all kinds of stuff, but it'll take a minute. That to me is what I would love to see. And so I don't know, that we might have to ask the trustees if they're noticing that or seeing that, but that's the other vision I'm holding.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
When you first called on me, I didn't have a question. Now I do. And it's more anecdotal. It seems like insurance provided psychiatric and mental health care in this county is already constrained in terms of insurance provided. How do we get around that for our kids?
So I didn't go deep into it, but basically the fee schedule, and everybody asks, I don't know how this happened, is basically the state got all these insurance companies on board. And so the schools won't have to bill them independently. There's a third-party administrator where all claims will go through and then come back. And there's very few things that the claims would be denied for. They're really logistical, like wrong name and birth date, code being used by an inappropriate practitioner. So I think that in theory, the state tried to remove any of these barriers, because if any of those things were there, I think schools would be like, are you kidding me? No way. We can't, I have a private practice, and I know many private practice clinicians don't take insurance because it's such a headache. So why would schools? And so the state really kind of came on this bigger level to say, let's remove as many barriers as possible and not put that burden on schools to have to figure out.
Just one quick follow-up is Anthem Blue Cross won the state award to be their third-party administrator and will process the claims for all insurance companies, including Medi-Cal. And it's known as, we go through Availity, but it's really Anthem Blue Cross. Lauren put together an RFP to we're gonna start even next week, I think, start looking at our own electronic health record and local third-party administrators. So we'll have these two different levels where we're hoping that clearinghouse for denial, all that stuff will be taken care of. And we're about to choose that.
Thank you. Trustee Roth?
Yes. There are no federal funds. This is all state at this point in time.
I mean, Medi-Cal,
I'm
right?
sorry,
So,
it's
you know,
not a joke.
I know, putting aside Medi-Cal, which is its own massive concern everywhere in California, right? Which would impact thousands of youth, right, and students here. All the rest in theory is not, it's commercial insurance, right? So if you have low Medi-Cal but high commercial insurance, this is gonna be a game changer, where historically, we've experienced that high Medi-Cal often had much better services because it was known, you could navigate it, you know, we could embed it. Commercial insurance has always been just a couple arms lengths away, and families had to kind of figure it out. And so I think there is legitimate concern about Medi-Cal when this is rolled out, but it's no different than the overall umbrella of Medi-Cal concerns. And all of our startup money, I'm thinking real quick, the IPP is coming from our managed care plan, which is the Central California Alliance for Health, which is only Medi-Cal. So if Medi-Cal gets hit, there's going to be all kinds of ripple effects that occur. And that would affect the enhanced care management side of what we showed you. I think we're already getting the money, but we could still bill the commercial insurances under that school-linked multi-payer fee schedule. Does that
Because
help or-
somewhere I heard over the past few weeks that this may be under a stress, that it may not occur.
Oh, for school, this multi-payer fee schedule?
I don't know.
Right.
It's just, there's so much going on, and it kind of flew by me, and I was wondering if that, is this a sure thing at this point? I know, the funding is there.
I would just say in every meeting I've been through and this has come up, they've reassured that there's no concerns. The grant funding we got is all state level. We've already received a lot of it, and so you never know. But at this point, I haven't had any inkling of concern.
And the intention is that through the fees, this will become self-sustained.
Do you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, so I know this is the superintendent question, right? What we've been saying is that, and Lauren's done some more and more exact modeling. Lauren went to, okay, you district, you have this many people who could bill. If you had all of them bill, you could generate this much money if their productivity rate was at 50%, right? And so there's a lot of variables, but where we're kind of aiming towards, I think we're going to give districts a menu and say, here is the possibility. Now let's see what can manifest. Meaning, here's everyone who could bill. Here's everything you could bill for. Here's a productivity rate that seems reasonable. If that all is true, you could have this much money, and that would be new revenue for your district. If lots of things could come up in that, but if we do that math, then in theory, and you aggregate, because in our thinking, say you have 17 people and you have 4 or 5 that are really at risk or that are doing a certain thing that are grant funded or something, or like our wellness center staff, right? If everybody is billing, that should be enough. If they already are in budgets, what I'm trying to say is it should be enough money to cover at least half of those roles that you don't have right now. And so we're hoping that will sustain all the additional roles in wellness centers or the current staffing they have. I don't know if I said that clearly enough, but with, again, the potential, and then where the hard work is going to be is to actualize all those potentials, variables that I just laid out. But we do feel like it's going to be probably 7 figures is possible in this county for sure, if we can put all this into place. And again, where we're worried is maybe only Medi-Cal might be affected at some point way down the road if what your worry is about. But in theory, the commercial insurance would not.
Sabah?
Yeah, just to add to that, I think that if all of the systems that were described earlier are in place, then I think that a portion like 50% or so would actually be covered. So so a school district would be able to get, the cost of that person, they would save that amount of money So that would allow them, let's say, to either double their productivity or half their costs for that one person. So it's a significant impact, but it's not 100% paid for by this funding source. Another aspect of what was shared, I think, is the partnerships. The FQHCs, for example, the federally qualified health centers like Salud para la Gente and Santa Cruz Community Health, they're going to be great. They're going to continue to be great partners, as well as nonprofits like Encompass and Pajaro Valley Prevention. And so all of these systems the idea is that it's not only school folks, as Lauren said earlier, who are going to be doing this, and these collaborations are going to, again, create more access for students. And I did want to just, I think Sue's question, I think we're going to be asking that a lot, is this at risk? And Michael and Lauren have their own kind of world that they navigate, and I do as well with the county superintendents. We haven't heard, as we have in some other areas, that this area is currently at risk and that we should be worried or anything like that. We haven't gotten any of that messaging from that. And of course, we never know, but I think as with most things, we're going to continue doing what we need to do and assume that things are going to be present, because if we walk away from it now or slow things down or put a halt on things, then we may miss out on this opportunity to be able to serve students. And so, but I haven't gotten any information from any of our sources that to worry about this program at this point.
Thank you. Trustee Williams? Okay. Yep, Estrada?
So I work in homeless services, so CalAIM was very much up my alley. And I will speak to what Sue was talking about. I think you're referring to when the payment management system for CalAIM or for Medi-Cal was kind of down for a bit because of the funding freeze. So they quickly clarified that that shouldn't have happened, and so I don't expect that they will be touching that anytime soon, because they tried to clarify pretty quickly after the memo came out that Medi-Cal was not, Medicaid wasn't going to be impacted. But yeah, I just wanted to say I really love this so far. I think it's great to supplement, this expansion that we're getting for student mental health. I think it's a much needed investment. And I like how you said that it's kind of this missing gap of, Medi-Cal is very, easily accessible and out there, but it's very hard to navigate private insurance and figuring out who is covered, who isn't. So I think this is a great gap that's being filled. And so I can't wait to see how it turns out. I'm super excited.
Thank you.
Nice. I have one final question, and really happy to hear that we can bill medical providers for our services, for the work that we do and what we provide. But in terms of equity, I just want to clarify that the resources that we do offer to our students are the same, regardless of insurance that they may or may not have.
Yeah, so, we can't, one of the things we're doing is we're creating a communication plan for districts because they're not experts in this, right? And they need to go out and share with their families and students and whatnot, like what all of this is. And one part of that are things for them to consider, right? I don't feel ethically okay to make the decision for them, but one of them is if a student's undocumented, doesn't have insurance or, any of those things, will you still serve them, right? Obviously, the best practice is yes, but because I'm not on the hook financially and the districts are, I want them to come up with that works for them. But I would imagine and hope, and every district I've spoken to so far says they're going to serve every student independent of whether they have insurance, because also parents have to give their insurance information. There are going to be parents that are going to opt out, right? And so to create that equity, we have to work with schools. Okay, so how do you leverage the students that you are receiving payments for those that you aren't, right? And how do you budget for that percentage that aren't?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Well, and the county does that now, right? Like the county, even in Medi-Cal, I thought had a small sliver of, oh, we can serve these people, we're not billing for it because they're not eligible, but they build it in. And so that, I think that's, we're trying to replicate that model. And Compass used to do that too, even for alt ed, I think. So sort of a known process, and we're trying to replicate that. So in theory, the youth should have never think about, am I covered or not? Do I have services or not? It should be blind to them. They just need something and it's there. That's another 2-year hope for Ferris's question.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate the conversation. Really happy and proud to have you guys with us. The good work that's being done. A.2. Now we have the Local Control Accountability Plan, a supplement for the Santa Cruz County Office of Education with Dr. Sabat and Johnny Rice.
Yes, it's my pleasure to welcome Johnny Rice, our Executive Director of our Alternative Education Program. I think this might be the first time that you've come to present the LCAP, an LCAP component. Is that true?
There we go. Yeah.
All
You
right.
can tell I'm a rookie.
So this is the mid-year report, which is, you know, as the LCAP has been developed, they've been adding kind of new components and to ensure that you're up to date about and so Johnny is going to be presenting the mid-year report for alternative education, and then Sony Sanson will be presenting after him with the one for the career advancement charter. Take it away, Johnny.
Thank you, Dr. Ferris-Sabah. Well, it got a little hot in here.
Once you sit up there, huh, Johnny? I know what you mean.
All right. You know, as Dr. Ferris-Sabah mentioned there, Jen, my colleague and your familiar fearless LCAP leader, can't be with us this week. So I've been asked to step in and provide you with our alternative education LCAP mid-year report. They're pretty big shoes to fill, but I'm going to do my best. All right. To get started, let's see, as Ferris mentioned, the LCAP local control accountability plan is designed around goals and actions aimed at doing our very best for our students. So I thought I'd take just a moment to center us in our purpose here in alternative education. As a network of small schools designed to support each individual student in their journey toward graduation and beyond, and as part of our WASC process and our commitment to continuous school improvement, we revisited our mission and our school-wide goals this last year. We redeveloped our collective mission to read. The mission of alternative education is to create safe, supportive, community-based environments where all students can grow academically, socially, and emotionally to become agents of their future. And we connected our mission to, we attempted to essentialize what we do for our educators and our students down to 3 words. We believe that in alternative education, we all become more curious, more conscientious, and more confident. The first C, curious, gets at our academic identity, while the second C, conscientious, gets at our social and emotional and relational identity. And the third C, confident, gets at our readiness to take on the future. As we go through the LCAP mid-year report here, you'll see that there's actually 5 goals in the mid-year LCAP report. But you'll notice, or I hope that you'll notice, that the first 3 align directly with these 3 Cs. The other 2 equally important goals, of course, are additional state required goals that we'll talk a little bit about. Wrong button. All right. Oops. So just a reminder, a quick reminder, what is the LCAP? You'll likely remember that the LCAP, or Local Control Accountability Plan, is a 3-year plan updated annually. It contains goals, metrics, actions, and expenditures that are aligned with our other plans, such as our WASC Accreditation Action Plan and our School Plan for Student Achievement. Our current LCAP was adopted by this board last June. But we're always paying attention to it. The LCAP cycle is really year-round,
Following approval in June, we immediately began implementing. And now we find ourselves at the mid-year evaluation point so that we can take this information and begin planning again to bring in a new plan in June. While this cycle hasn't changed, the mid-year report is a fairly new requirement. I'd say while new, it's actually a pretty nice addition in that it gives us this opportunity to stop midpoint and really reflect on how we're doing. And to have some mid-year celebrations, which I think is great too. As mentioned, our LCAP has 5 goals, each with a number of metrics and planned actions connected to expenditures. At this point in the school year, we can categorize each metric as in progress, known or unknown. And we can categorize each action and expenditure as in progress, completed, or not yet started. These are the 5 goals that I was referencing. I certainly won't read them to you, but you can see that the first one is our curious or academic goal. The second is our conscientious, our social, emotional, and relational goal. And the third is our confidence or future preparedness goal. Goal 4 has to do with expelled youth and our youth in foster care. Every county office is required to have a goal that includes these 2 groups, and this is ours. And finally, our 5th goal has to do with college and career preparedness for our court school students. This goal has to do with equity multiplier funds, new to us as of last year. Schools that receive those funds are required to have a goal specifically tied to those funds. Right. So rather than take you through all metrics and actions and expenditures that are in the report that you have, my hope here is just to summarize, give you a few highlights, and especially point out anything that looks different than expected. So for goal 1, our curiosity goal, even at the mid-year point, we're meeting most of our metric objectives. There are 2, however, one having to do with local assessment data and the other related to English learner reclassifications that are still unknown at this point. And that's because the data is simply still being collected during the year. Both, however, look like they're likely to be achieved by June. While most actions and related expenditures for this goal are on track, you'll notice probably 2 in particular that are underexpended. The first has to do with expenditures for curriculum. A large amount of curriculum, here's the explanation, a large amount of curriculum was purchased at the end of last year using one-time school funds, which slowed expenditures for the first half of this year. They're fully expected to pick up, especially as we try to get prepared to be ready for the beginning of next year. So I think we're, even though it's unexpended, we're on track as far as that goes. The second notable expenditure has to do with an ELD teacher. We searched last summer for a strong and experienced ELD teacher, but we just didn't find the right person. So we asked our teachers and our instructional staff to continue to come together and bring their very best for our students who are learning English. We're getting a much earlier start this year in our recruitment, and I'd say that things are looking good for next year. For goal 2, our conscientious goal, the midpoint indications are pretty strong. Our graduation rate is trending upward. The chronic absentee rate in special education is down. Percent of students feeling safe at school continues to increase. And our goal for students feeling that they have enough access to counseling is within reach of where we want to be. In terms of actions and expenditures, you might notice in this goal that we've underexpended on the category of supplemental food and clothing. And I think the same explanation that goes for curriculum previously can be explained here, in that we had a number of one-time funds last year that we utilized, which slowed our expenditure from this fund this year, though I fully expect it'll pick up for the second half. For goal 3, our confidence goal, while survey results in all areas look good, I want to say that the most noteworthy is the percentage of students who feel they have access to college and career opportunities. We have an incredible staff highlighted in the actions and expenditures that are moving this initiative forward for us. And while and as far as actions and expenditures go, while contract expenditures look like they're lower than they ought to be at the midway point during the year, that's because a number of our contractors will end up billing for the lump sum at the end of the year. So again, we really are on track. Goal 4, as I mentioned, has to do with supporting our expelled youth and our youth in foster care. We're fully implementing our expelled youth plan and collaborating with all districts, and we're fully adhering to our MOU with districts around providing supports to students in foster care. And we're truly grateful for the support that we receive from our Student Support Services group and their foster youth support team. And finally, Goal 5 has to do with college and career readiness for our court school students in particular. And as I mentioned, it's directly related to our equity multiplier funds. We're focused on supporting our court school students in enrolling and being successful at Cabrillo and community colleges. This has included a new partnership with the Rising Scholars Program located on the Cabrillo College campus. Our college and career team and our community organizer team referenced in Goal 3 are bringing their full support here as well. We're still collecting data, but it's looking pretty good. Finally, we want to make sure that we touch on the BOP, the budget overview for parents. And you may recall that in June of each year, with the support and collaboration of our amazing and truly appreciated business department. There you go. There's the stars of the business department there with alternative education. You know,
Is there a heartbreak between program and fiscal? Is that what?
this is one of those charms that you can break. So you take half and I take half. We always have our part when we're apart, but when we're together, they fit like a puzzle. All right. In June of each year, with the support of the business department, we provide a budget overview based on budget projections. LCFF funds frequently change, however, from projections, and last year was no exception. Our initial LCFF budget adopted in June was about $36,980,000. The final state budget revised this amount to $38,452,000. Similarly, our June projection for supplemental and concentration funds was about 2.9 million, but the actual amount is now 4.3. This mid-year report updates these figures and explains the resulting adjustments. We're currently reviewing our base LCFF funding to identify expenditures that could be reclassified to accommodate the increased supplemental and concentration funding. With that, we reach the end, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you for the presentation. Questions, comments, Larson?
Good time, first time through.
What's
Good
that?
job, first time
Good
through.
job first time through. I appreciate it. Thank you. It was a
every
good
co-
time too.
Every kudo I wanted to throw, and you covered in your highlights, and every question I had, you covered in the question, so I'm good.
I like that, Greg. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Students, trustees? No? Thank you, Johnny. Really appreciate you sharing it with us.
Appreciate you guys too.
Next, we have the Local Control Accountability Plan supplement for the Santa Cruz County Career Advancement Charter. And this one is with Denise Sanson. Welcome.
Yes, welcome, Miss Sony Sanson. Thank you so much. I was going to use your first and last name, as Johnny used it several times for me. So you're going to be seeing a very similar presentation for our Career Advancement Charter. This is part of the wonderful partnerships that we have, and also I think part of the long-term leadership and that Sony shares with Johnny and Michael and others is that we have a very collaborative, organization. And also in many ways, Career Advancement Charter is kind of like the, I don't know, older sibling of the alternative education program, older yet younger, younger in years, yet we serve an older population of folks, but we're all one big happy family. So thank you for being here to share your mid-year report.
Thank you, Ferris, and good evening, trustees. I had to put on my student programs jacket because in listening to the presentations tonight and the collegiality, and Johnny and I actually went to grad school back in 1999 together. So we've known each other for a very long time and have worked together here at the county office for like 17 years. And so thank you for that welcome, Ferris. I'm going to take us through the Career Advancement Charter mid-year report. It will be very similar, and I will highlight some of those differences as well. Because I wanted to provide this overview of just where Career and Adult Learning Services lives. That is the department that that the Career Advancement Charter is part of. We're actually separate from alternative ed, though when the charter first started, it was actually part of alt ed. And there is so much crossover. And I stand with often one foot in both departments. And we share students in the different departments, staff. There's a lot of crossover, and there's a real benefit there as well. And so in student programs, that's where the CAC lives, in the Career and Adult Learning Services Department. And I thought I'd provide just a quick overview for y'all of what that means. What is CalS or CALS? And it does include, as I just said, the CAC, our Career Tech Magnet programs, which are for high school students across the county. We also have career training programs for adults, which includes our medical and dental assisting programs that are happening across the street right now, our Building Trades Pre-Apprenticeship program, and our Wildland Fire Academy. And lastly, our Sueños program is a program that supports youth ages 16 to 24 develop their workplace skills, and that's located in Watsonville or Sequoia Schools building. I wanted to start or include this photo from January's graduation and tell you a little bit about who are our students in the Career Advancement Charter. We have an informal motto, if you will, and a student termed or coined this phrase a couple years back, and she was telling some of her other students in a class that it's never too late. New students who are coming, and she was, our students are 18 to, we've had students in their 60s, that nunca es tarde, it's never too late. And so we like to use that phrase, our lema in Spanish, for our students to encourage them that it's never too late. So our students are parents, they're guardians, they're artists, entrepreneurs, employees, both full-time, part-time, they're immigrants, they're former alternative ed students, they're leaders, they're volunteers. They represent all different walks of life and many different identities and make up our school. We're currently serving about 240 students in the Career Advancement Charter. We also serve students in our locked facilities. At every locked facility in the county, we have programming. And so where we are, as I just said, here across the street, we have high school diploma and high school equivalency programming at the annex. We have three teachers, one full-time and two part-time who work out of the building across the street. We have a large presence at Sequoia Schools, at both probation success centers. These are adult probation centers in North County, right attached to Main Jail near the courthouse, and in South County on Freedom Boulevard, right near the Starbucks there. At the Roundtree Correctional Facility in Watsonville, Santa Cruz County Main Jail, and then the Blaine Street Women's Facility, which is also behind the Santa Cruz Main Jail. And so again, high school diploma or equivalency. So if a student wants to pursue a proficiency exam, the HiSET is what we offer. That's much less common than students pursuing a high school diploma. And our school-wide goals, this is also a WASC year for us. And so that's almost finished. I plan to submit that next week. We've come up with engage, empower, expand. So similar to alternative education's 3 Cs, we're using that alliteration there with the E's, and our efforts with adult students, that those are our intentions there. This is a repeat slide, just a quick review of what the LCAP is. The charter, the CAC does have our own LCAP, same responsibilities, same timelines. And I'm very grateful to our colleagues in the county office who email me or chat me and say, hey, don't forget about that mid-year report that's due. And so there's a lot of collaboration across the departments to support each other. Again, a repeat slide here. So we're there on the bottom left at the plan monitoring, and we'll be gearing up for more of that plan development as we move into the spring. We are aligning our WASC goals with our LCAP goals because it makes a lot of sense and they're very similar. And so you'll be hearing more about that soon. Another repeat of the new requirements. So this hasn't been around too long. It is very helpful though, I would say. It requires us to stop and pause and self-evaluate and reflect on how we're doing with those goals that we set. You have in the report an update on our metrics. Most of our metrics are in progress. And so I'll be reporting those to you in June at the end of the school year, as well as our expenditures. We also, many of those are in progress. We're making, I think, excellent progress on our expenditures and have a plan for making sure that we're able to achieve all those actions lining up with the expenditures before this year is over. So our LCAP goals are here. I'm not going to read them to you. I'll just simply synthesize. Goal 1 is generally what is around achievement. And so you see bolded, the graduation, demonstrating enhanced proficiency. And we changed this goal this year to include a focus on post-secondary opportunities. So not just college, but that does include vocational training. It includes employment. So any kind of post-secondary opportunity. Goal 2 is focused on student support. And so that really speaks to that comprehensive support. We want to hire a mental health clinician. Just thinking about Lauren and Michael's presentation, we see the need as well. And goal 3 is really about access and expansion. There's a demand for our services in the county. And so really focusing on those partnerships and of course, to sustainability so that we can keep going. So goal 1 highlights. Our highlights do include our increased bilingual instructional support. So that's both certificated and classified. So hiring teachers who are bilingual as well as our instructional support staff. Our CASAS implementation. The CASAS is an adult assessment. I think I've talked with you about that before. I want to add there that we have started this year our paper assessment and corrections, and so I'm really proud of that. It's been a big lift, but we're doing it. And then the implementation of an online curriculum with English courses and Spanish courses. I'm very proud of that as well. And that we started just about maybe 4 months ago, and it's going really, really well. Students are engaged and it's working for our program. Some of the changes or things I wanted to highlight for you as noteworthy is our increase in ADA. I think we projected at 150 and P1 or the first report was 223, I think. So that's quite a significant difference, which you'll see in the budget overview, an increase in our LCFF funds because of that increased ADA. We have had some trouble with staffing or filling vacancies and some movement in our program. So that has been a bit of a challenge, but we are fully staffed currently. And then professional learning opportunities, we haven't contracted out with anybody. That's been in-house. As I mentioned, it's a WASC year, and so most of our professional learning time has been dedicated to that WASC self-study, which is very meaningful. In goal 2, this is a picture of a new class that we added this year. It's a baking class. taught by our culinary instructor, Verinda Quintero. It's called Panaderia Artesanal, which is the artisan bakery. And so that happens on Monday nights. We also are piloting a photography class this year. So wanting to increase our enrichment opportunities, those are two things I wanted to highlight for you. We have childcare services available from 3 o'clock till 7:30, Monday through Thursday. I just received a text with some photos of they like to send me, what's happening in the evening. We have nine children in the center tonight. And then active case management. So more than just making the referral, like following up and really helping the students advocate for themselves and really close those loops. So active case management through our transition specialist team. Because one thing that we're working on is increasing student participation. So in this mid-year review and looking at the metrics, that's I mean, I knew it also, but it's something that we're working on to increase student participation. If we have these things to offer, we want to make sure people are, that our students are attending. And then lastly, goal 3. This picture is just from a couple weeks ago, and there are 23 students there in that photo, and they're attending what we're calling our foundations class. This is a new pilot project that we started in November, I want to say. It's only been a few months. And the model is that students on board for 6 weeks. And in those 6 weeks, they are participating in an online class. And we feel like that's really important because if or when our students go on to the community college, they will have to know how to navigate an online class. It's essential now. And so we're teaching them how to, or, a learning management system, I should say. And so they're all enrolled in an online class. They're learning the Google Suite, how to email, how to craft documents, etc. And they're learning about time management and their community building. This group is a little bit younger. We're noticing these 23 students, and so there's a different energy in this section. So I'm really proud of that, and I'm really grateful for the staff who are working so hard to make this happen, and the students are showing up. And so we're really proud of our foundations class, and that's at Sequoia Schools. It's happening every Thursday night. We also have an orientation process where students are invited in groups. We've moved some things to groups instead of doing one by one, just because of the increase in enrollment. And some of the changes or some of the things we're working on is we're maxed out on space at the Sequoia site. And here too, actually, we're pretty crunched here at the annex. And so that is an identified need, as well as the use of a referral system that is shared across our adult education consortium. It's called Community Pro, and we're evaluating its effectiveness. And so that's something that I'm not sure that is sustainable for our program. Doesn't seem to be working very well. So I don't have any hearts or pictures here.
Oh,
However,
Their
I
hearts aren't
wanna-
broken.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge Melissa Lopez for helping me and always responding to my chats and getting it done late at night and early in the morning. I just really appreciate you. So thank you. And it certainly is a partnership with program and fiscal. We can't get what we want to get done without their support and leadership. What you see here for our LCFF is an increase of about $900,000 that's attributed to our ADA increase. The supplemental and concentration, we only receive supplemental funds, and a smaller increase there of about 50,000. And so we're planning, we've already addressed how we want to spend the supplemental funds and are looking to make some decisions about staffing, instructional materials, et cetera, to spend some of those additional LCFF funds. And with that, this is a picture of our staff. And so on behalf of the Career Advancement Charter, I want to thank you all for your ongoing support. And our website is linked there, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Sony. Questions, comments? Van Allen?
Well, thank you. I'm so glad this program and Sequoia School and the charter school are there. For me, it makes our provision or stewardship of PCS okay, because we're balancing kind of the other end of the educational needs spectrum. And it's so important that we do that. So I'm really grateful for your work.
Thank
That
you.
we have this program, and Ferris's vision for the charter school is really paying off. I was worried initially about ADA break-even point of about 44, and so you're way above that.
Yeah, and it's a charter renewal year, actually, so we've been reading through that, and it was 45 students was the projected ADA for year one, and today in Power School, we're over 240. And so, yeah, we've grown quite a bit, just even in the last year.
I did want to make sure that our newcomers know what WASC is, WASC, because this is such a big deal for us. And maybe Ferris could give a quick summary of its importance.
Sure, yeah. So the way that our schools and universities get the official kind of proof that they're effective schools is through evaluations by different agencies. And the one that covers this area is the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. And so they come out and they basically, well, our staff have to put together a report that describes how our students are doing, what are the strengths, what are the areas of growth. And then a team actually comes out, visits and interviews the staff. They classrooms, they look, under the tables and looking to see if the report is accurate. And then they give us an accreditation, which the best accreditation is when you get a 6-year accreditation, which means that we're so confident your school is, that's like the A+. You were so confident your school is a quality school that we don't have to worry about coming back to visit for another 6 years. And our schools consistently have been getting 6-year accreditations. And one of the steps that we took and that Sony helped us accomplish was to get the school accredited, because until Sony was leading the CAC was not an accredited, which meant we didn't have a WASC accreditation at this point. And that is like a stamp of approval. So when our students take our diploma, when they go to the community college, when they people know that that's an accredited school, which means it's a quality certification that they've got. Anything you'd like to add to that?
They'll be here in April, so
They're back.
I'll be sharing that with you. And then again, I'll be bringing the charter renewal to y'all hopefully in March. That's our plan.
Great. Looking forward to it. Thank you. Person?
Again, thank you so much. I learned a lot. I particularly liked one of your early slides that outlined the 4 components of your program, which the charter schools one. That just
Great.
helps me start to understand it. Again, you answered all my questions and saw the kudos in there. I must say, as a newbie still, it's hard for me to understand, and this is on page 122, the agenda packet, how enrollment went down, but ADA went up just so dramatically. Enrollment dropped a bit. Striking to me and creates such a complexity for school funding and staffing and facilities and everything that you deal with. And then the only other one that I'd mention is the childcare for your South County program for the evening education. That's just important as you try to grow.
Absolutely.
And food as well.
Clothing.
Roth?
You mentioned it, and it was the Community Pro platform. What is it, and why isn't it working? And not to bring up PCS at Pacific Collegiate, they're having kind of similar problems of attracting students.
Well, Community Pro is it's an online system that is used to make referrals between the community college, the adult school in PVUSD, WASI, and ourselves. So it's part of our, it's a tool for our consortium to use. So the Adult Education Consortium, we're a member, and this tool was selected as part of a 3-year plan that we write for, that not I write, but that is written on behalf of the consortium. And it is not an expensive tool for us because we don't have that many students and they charge per student. It's just another thing to learn is what we think. And we use PowerSchool for our student information system, and we rely on more of a warm handoff of direct dial and helping students navigate. And this is, so-and-so is gonna come see you on Tuesday. It just is clunky. And also the system doesn't talk to PowerSchool. And so if we want our students to be in Community Pro, a person has to put them in. And so we're in communication with the company. Again, it's not a large expense. It's going to be a consortium decision if we're going to continue using the platform. And if the decision is yes, then, we'll commit and make it work. But as a consortium member, we get to express our concern and observations of how well it is not working. Yeah. I hope that
Interesting,
helps.
because it's something, get the information out to the community.
Right. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? If not, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now we're moving on to new business in action, and we'll start with Resolution 25-03, recognizing February as Black History Month. And for this one, we have Trustee Van Allen.
Thank you, trustees. We have a few significant resolutions at this meeting, and the first one is recognizing February as Black History Month. This is a resolution we have consistently adopted, this has been updated for this year. And as I understand it, Trustee Larson would like to. Oh, okay. So, well, I was almost done. Introducing the resolution, I would like to see the board approve it and continue our commitment to recognizing our Black community locally and African-American Black people throughout our nation. So that's my presentation of the item, and
Okay.
suggest that the chair call on Commissioner Trustee Larson.
Larson.
Well, thank you so much. I obviously and fully support it, but since we're all educators, or at least supporting educators, I want to do a quick show and I was given this painting 40 years ago by Jacob Lawrence, one of the most famous painters of the Harlem Renaissance. And it was given to me 40 years ago, and I've tracked Jacob Lawrence ever since, and it's images of labor. And so I was ecstatic to see that this year's Black History Month is tying the history of our African-American community with the labor movement. And it's just so powerful. And I pulled it off my office wall to bring it tonight as show and tell. And you can still sort of see his signature faded on the very
Camera
bottom.
is over here. It's pointing to the.
I've not missed an exhibition of his work since he passed away. I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I'll second.
Bernice is our new Vanna.
Questions or comments? None? All right, can we get a roll call vote, please? Yes.
Vice President Estrada,
Yes.
Trustee Larson,
Yes.
Trustee Roth,
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen,
Aye.
Trustee Williams, President Sanchez,
Yes.
Student Trustee Hopkins. Aye. Student Trustee Marcus.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the list, we have 9.2 CSBA Delegate Assembly ballot for Subregion 9A. And And for this one, we have Dr. Sabah, who will speak to more detail on the item.
All right. Well, as you know, the California School Board Association is an organization that is representative democracy and requires the selection of representatives from local school districts in different areas to represent the interests of the School Board Association. And so the elections, the ballots are due for you to vote and send to the delegate assembly by March 17th. Those elected delegates are going to serve 2-year terms beginning on April 1st, 2025. And they'll be representing their regions, their delegate regions. And the next meeting is scheduled for May 17th and 18th. And as you know, these delegates play an important role in the governance of this large organization, one of the most powerful and impactful in terms of advocacy on behalf of students across the state. And so we have one candidate from Subregion 9A, which is representing us. Mark Becker is a candidate from who's a school board member from San Lorenzo Valley Unified School District. And this would require action for you to determine if Mr. Becker would be your, if you would want to select him. Is it a selection? I think it's an official ballot, so it is. So it is a selection for Mr. Becker to represent Region 9A. So this would be your vote for Mr. Becker. Since he's the only candidate, you basically either choose support him or not.
Make the motion. And I have worked with Mark many years through school district, through SCESBA, and meetups. So anyway, wholeheartedly.
Any questions or comments? None? All right. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mark. You got one vote. All the best of luck. Moving on, we have 9.3 now, CSB Delegate Assembly ballots for the County Delegate Region 9.
Yeah, so this is now for the County Delegate Region 9. And in this case, we have to select, the board has to determine who to vote for. And there are 2 candidates. One is Sue Roth, who is a member of our County Board of Education. And the other person is Annette E. Steck, who is with the Monterey County Office of Education. And this would require board action to determine which of these 2 candidates you would like to support. And it is appropriate for Ms. Roth to participate in the discussion.
I would like to make a statement that Annette is very, very qualified. Would be honored to serve, but I think
I feel like you're pretty qualified too, Ron.
Hmm?
I feel like you're pretty qualified too.
yes, but I would be very comfortable.
Noted.
Because it's a new position. The SBA has made this position for the county statewide. And so they have been meeting as a committee last year, and now it's being
Okay. Any questions, comments from the board, the trustees? None? Yes.
Excuse me.
And Ellen.
Talk today. I move that we, not sure what the word is, nominate or recommend, or
I think it's select. Selection process.
that we select Stu Roth for delegate, as our delegate for Region 9.
I second.
Perfect, first and second. I do have a question. Does this ballot go only to the COEs or do they go to the local districts? Do we know that?
I'm not sure, but I thought it was only
COEs?
counties. I think this is the county process,
And
like the county board representative.
okay. Okay. Perfect. We have a motion. We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Perfect. Passes unanimously. Congratulations. The best of
Yippee.
luck. The best of luck.
A related question, so for a future agenda, I'm confused about whether I should care about the alternative, the ACCBE or whatever it's being called. Apparently quite a few county boards have joined now, according to their latest message. I don't know what the payoff is for us, and I just wonder if maybe we could have a discussion. We did have a presentation a couple of meetings back from the person from there, but I didn't learn much that made it stakes were. I guess that's what I don't know, is what are the stakes? So I just wonder if we could somehow find a way to discuss among the board and get some more information about it.
I think the agenda committee and the board president can determine to put it on. We could invite somebody to present and then you could take action to decide if you'd like to join or not.
And I'll just have to be clear, I don't have any strong feeling either way about it, but you know, obviously we want to be part of what the bigger picture is in a constructive way. So if that's an avenue for it.
And I do want to say a little point of order that we are discussing an
sorry,
item that's
sorry.
not on the agenda. So
Okay.
Yes, for a future.
thank you.
Noted. 9.4, we have another resolution. This one is 25-04, recognizing March as Disability Awareness Month.
Again, trustees, our board feels it's important, and I agree that we establish our positions and help the public understand the important things that are happening in our world, and certainly recognition of presence even, but also the importance of people with disabilities in all aspects of our community is very important to recognize. And so we bring this resolution to the board this time.
Questions, comments? Is there a motion?
So moved.
You can have it.
You got a first and a second. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Student trustee Hopkins,
Aye.
student trustee Marcus,
Aye.
vice president Estrada,
Yes.
trustee Larson,
Yes.
trustee Roth,
Yes.
trustee Van Allen,
Aye.
trustee Williams, president Sanchez.
Yes. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, another resolution, 25-05, recognizing March as a Women's History Month.
Trustees, this resolution again is one of our cyclical ones. It's on an equally important set of questions. In my lifetime, the rise of the second wave of feminist movement. Out of that, really important that we continue trying to improve our country and the world. We have this resolution.
Williams?
Motion to approve with a minor change. It shows Dolores Huerta was an American. Get more appropriate.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Yes, I accept the change. It's on.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Questions, comments? None? We get a roll call vote, please.
Student trustee Hopkins? Aye. Student trustee Marcus?
Aye.
Trustee Estrada?
Yes.
Trustee Larson? Trustee Roth?
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen?
Aye.
Trustee Williams? President Sanchez?
Yes. Passes unanimously. Thank you. The next item, 9.6, was tabled, so that will be coming to us later. So that brings us to 10, superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity to provide an update on several of the things that we've been prioritizing since our last board meeting. If you recall, I spent a significant amount of time at our last board meeting talking about our effort to support our immigrant community in Santa Cruz County and those who are impacted by the increase of immigration enforcement across the country, as well as the removal of schools as safety locations that would allow for immigration enforcement. I'm happy to report that there has been no immigration enforcement at any school in the United States, to our knowledge, and we are monitoring that and looking at that very carefully. There has been one case of a person who was deported that was retained or was arrested and deported within 24 hours in Santa Cruz County very quickly and quietly. It's the only case that we're aware of immigration enforcement since the administration took office 5 weeks ago. We have initiated a new partnership with Cradle to Career, which is an organization that really started with a big focus on Live Oaks School District or the Live Oak area, but now is providing services across the county. They've received training from Community Action Board and are ready to support schools that are asking for Know Your Rights presentations. These have been very popular in our community, and most districts have implemented them. One of the things that has happened is that there's now a delay in the ability to offer these trainings because the demand is so high. And so we are partnering with C2C we created a curriculum and resources and translations and other kinds of supports to ensure that the integrity and quality of that presentation. And we want to make sure that any school that needs a presentation can receive it in a short time frame. In addition, we're making red cards and rapid response cards available. The red cards are the cards that on one side let community members know what their rights are if they are to engage with immigration enforcement officials, and then the other side it has the information to give that would be given to the officials asserting the right to remain silent and other rights as well. The website that we launched and created, susderechos.info, is pretty popular and is being used a lot. We're getting about 200 hits a day. We continue to add resources, but at the same time, we're very cautious with what we're adding. We've noticed that other folks are kind of dump long lists of resources, and many of which are like letters and things that aren't necessarily useful to. So we keep an eye out with what is a way to provide information in a clear, succinct way, and it seems to be working. And so we're really grateful partnering with Community Action Board, Community Bridges, and Watsonville Law Center in maintaining and updating that site. And so please promote this site as well if you can. It's something that I think is a useful resource for our community. I wanted to share with you that one of the areas that we continue to monitor carefully is information orders and other action taken by the current administration. We received a letter on February 14th from the U.S. Department of Education. It was a Dear Colleague letter that was written by, I believe, a Deputy Secretary of the Department of Education. In that letter, they asserted that all services that have any kind of race component, in other words, any service that is designed or being delivered to a specific racial group is by definition racism. And they cite a case where, which is a case of a Harvard case that went all the way to the Supreme Court, where Harvard was found to be utilizing race to allow people entry into the university, and broadening, in this letter, they broadened that concept to state that any basically equity-based services are in fact discriminatory and illegal. Everybody that we've looked at, and many of our colleagues at the state level are in agreement that that is absolutely untrue, and that this perception of the work that we're doing for marginalized communities is not racist, it's not illegal, and is absolutely appropriate for us to continue to do. And so we, of course, disagree with that. The one aspect of this letter is that programs that continue to provide these kinds of services and programs will lose their federal funding. I wanted to share with you that approximately 12.5% of our budget comes from federal sources. Includes everything from some special education funding for our Title I Part D, which allows us to serve students who are in a juvenile hall. Title I Part A, which gives us additional funding for students who qualify for free and reduced lunch, and a variety of other funding sources. And so, cuts to these programs or even, delays in receiving that funding would have a profound impact on our schools. And this is the case for most school districts. These federal funds are not a huge portion but they are significant and would have a deep impact. And so we're continuing to monitor the situation. We know that our state officials have asserted quite vocally that they will take legal action if any cuts take place, that kind of conflate the administrative's political objectives with how we run our programs. That idea that federal government can dictate what and how we teach is illegal. And that there would be significant litigation from a variety of different agencies if the federal government proceeds with their asserted goal to cut federal funding. Looks like I didn't finish my thought there on the last bullet, but that nonprofits have been receiving letters that say you need to sign this form. And if you don't sign this form that says that you are going to follow and implement all of the federal and be aligned to the federal administration's priorities, you will lose your funding. Now that's kind of like it's a loyalty pledge basically, where you have to put your signature, and if you don't sign it, then that in itself puts your funding at risk. And so I feel like they're even more exposed. Many of them are mostly funded by federal funds. The community college also is very concerned about this communication that was received. They get about 25% of Cabrillo College is federally funded. And so this is something we're looking at carefully. And this also is knowing that there's steps being taken to disband or dismantle the U.S. Department of Education itself. So a lot of this, we try to do our best to separate the noise and the chaos from real action with real impacts. And so I'll do my best to provide you updates on an ongoing basis about any steps that are taken that are impacting our programs or our students. I did want to thank you for passing the resolution, all the resolutions, and especially Black History Month. And I wanted to point out that we are relaunching our website for racial equity and justice. It felt important that now more than ever that we assert our values. And of course, not only when it comes to our Black community, but also our LGBTQ+ community, our immigrant community, and everybody who's being targeted at this point. And so we're really excited about this. I had hoped to have the website ready to show it off today, but it'll probably be on Monday. But we're having a bunch of new resources that for teachers. There'll be some videos from some of our students and a new look and feel that I think you'll appreciate. And just one more way that we can reaffirm our commitment to equity and to our community in these difficult times. I wanted to share with you some exciting events. Tonight is the mock trial awards ceremony. So it's at 8 p.m. this evening, which is in 32 minutes. And so after we finish over here, I'm going to rush over there to participate in that. We're very excited. And there's 2 teams that are competing for the final and for the final prize, and we'll know who's the winner. But we also honor lots of students are also nominated for a variety of different awards, and we celebrate them. Wanted to share with you that we are going to have a pre-K and TK community forum on February 27th, and another viewing of Fentanyl High to bring awareness about of the dangers of fentanyl. And then our STEAM Expo is taking place on March 8th, which is on a Saturday. And then we're organizing with Cabrillo College and with Rob Darrow a LGBTQ symposium on March 21st, which is really exciting. The first of its kind, and also for the 50th anniversary of Pride, which I think is going to be a wonderful event. So we would love it for you to be a part of these events. Are there any events that I missed from my list, Bernice, that you can think of? Oh, nope. Oh, later on. And I wanted to thank you for those of you that many of you came to participate in our annual celebration, and you know, it was not as well attended as we would have liked, but it was wonderful to have so many board members represented, and many staff members who were there as well. So thank you for being there, and thank you for being a part of that wonderful. Thank you. Any questions for me?
The mock trial, did all the high schools participate?
No, we we worked hard, but I believe that Watsonville and PV High School did not participate this year.
And on the pre-K and TK, Sorry, Berenice. Is it going to be a discussion of the value of the programs, or can you opt in? Can you
Yeah.
opt out? Is that what it's?
Well,
going-
I mean, I think that's one part of it, but it really is about the programs themselves, about learning about the programs, and the really to encourage folks to, to go from pre-K into the TK and start their schooling in TK. We actually are funded by the state to help facilitate the implementation of pre-K, universal pre-K and TK and across the county. So it's really, we see it as a safety net. And so we're going to be talking about what the programs are, helping people know what they're about and what it looks like inside the classroom, kind of demystify it, and really encourage folks to sign up. And for many families, TK is free, and in some cases, families have to pay for pre-K depending on which, if they qualify for state programs or not. But so talking about that as well is also part of that. And I can share, I'll be happy in the invitation that I'll send you with these. I'll be sure to explain more about what we have planned for that day.
Okay, good.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we will move on to trustee reports. And I will start this time, and then we'll move our way down the table. Hard to believe that, feels like it was a long time ago, but it happened after our last meeting, so I'm going to mention it. Graduations January 17th. I attended some of the ones that we held the day after our board meeting in Sequoia and Watsonville, and they're always amazing. They're always great to be a part of and to just hear from our students and to see them graduate and get their degrees. You know, it's always encouraging and it always makes it worth it. You know, some of these packets can be long sometimes, but seeing them graduate makes it all worth it, right? Brings me joy and makes me happy, and glad that I can be a part of that. January 25th, we had our Good Beginnings workshop. I wanted to thank everybody for making the effort to be there. I think it was very informative, very helpful. I always enjoy spending time with you guys and learning a little bit more about us, what we're doing right, what we can improve. I think it was well done. I found it to be very valuable. So definitely enjoyed that one. And the last item on my list is the Wellness Center ribbon cutting at Scotts Valley High School. Was able to attend that and was just very impressed of the resources of the space that's just available to students. I wish we had that growing up. I can't believe I just said that. But I think it's a really good resource, and I'm really happy the fact that we are focusing on mental health. I think for the longest time, we were told to just deal with it. And now we have a space that's safe where we can show up and be vulnerable. I think that's beautiful. I think it's amazing. Very fortunate and glad that we have that in Scotts Valley currently, and then rapidly expanding through other school sites within the county. So super proud of the county for that. And with that, and that's my report. Estrada.
I'll keep it short so you can get to the mock trial. I thought the special board governance meeting was super helpful, informative. What a great bonding experience with everyone. So I really enjoyed that. And I also attended the annual celebration, which was great music as always, great food as always. So it was a wonderful time. And they did a little play and everything with the little kids. It was so adorable with building the railroad. It was so cute. Really cute. So it was great to be there. It sucks that the rain probably affected turnout for there, but I ran through the rain in the parking lot as it was pouring, and it was so worth it.
Thank you. Williams?
Good evening, everyone. So additionally, also attended the graduations with President Sanchez. Enjoyed as well the first for me, the annual special workshop board meeting, and appreciated. It was really a learning experience and an opportunity for us to kind of hear each other's perspectives in different areas. Let's hear. I did not attend the COE Celebration of Schools Committee because I was at my daughter's last mock trial presentation. They were not expecting to be the final two, so she knew it was going to be her last opportunity to be. I believe she is the prosecuting attorney for Harbor High, and it was a really nice experience for me because she has been doing it for 3 years, and this was the first time I got to watch her. So that was pretty exciting. And I believe their team will be receiving a few awards tonight, so hopefully we'll be able to make it there. I've been attending a biweekly. I attended the CSBA's Immigration Policy and Resource. It was a Zoom call. It had a lot of really helpful tools of what schools and districts are doing regarding some of the immigration policies that are going around. The governor's budget perspective workshop with Trustee Roth. That was really informative. It was my first time. Lots of information, lots to take in. Let's see here. Wellness Center, Harbor High is going to be opening their own wellness center, so I'm really looking forward to it. I have a unique perspective. One, because my daughter goes there. Two, because I'm also the president president of our booster, and so we're trying to find a way for us to be able to support the wellness center on an ongoing basis, because we know funding is really difficult. So that means snacks or whatever it is that we can help provide. Our board also approved us potentially looking into, for their grand opening screening, Anxious Nation. So we're looking into it to see if we can make that sort of in combination. And finally, been attending biweekly Santa Cruz County Immigration Coalition meetings and joined the Children's Safety Plan Committee. So I'll be working with Sherry Cassidy, who is an attorney, to help streamline some communications and organization of volunteers. I guess they're getting volunteers and they're just trying to make with what they got, because, you know, it's just, it's been a lot coming in. So she was looking for some help. So I'm gonna try to help. So it's been busy, but.
Thank you. Then Ellen.
Graduations, which were sweet, board retreat, which I really valued and appreciate everybody. Had a couple committee meetings. Our event, community event, was really wonderful. I was really glad to make it. And the performances, just never forget, one of the singers who was only about this tall and had an incredible voice and ability to sustain a single note that was right on key and right in the rhythm of that song, and that person has a future. Sort of that. Anyway, very sweet, wonderful event. I got my button. Thank you, Andres. And then I had the fabulous fun of once again stumbling my way through my Bruce's tips and tricks on public speaking, which I did to our Youth-Led Leadership Alliance a couple weeks ago, and hope they got some value of it. I'm really having fun doing that. So I did it down in Sequoia. It was the first time I got to do a teaching type thing at that building, and that was fun. Looking for more opportunities.
Thank you. Larson.
I submitted most of mine in writing because I'm trying to get out there a lot, so I won't go through all that. I too attended the South County Schools graduation with Trustee Williams and President Abel. Let's see. I just wanted to comment briefly on the open house. And in particular, the performances are great. Talking to people was great, but I was most struck by Natalie's and Ferris's comments. They were both outstanding, and you both spoke so well and so powerfully. So congrats to both of you. It was the highlights of the evening for me, was hearing you two speak. So thank you. Board governance retreat was great. Mock 1, this is our mock trial, my first time attending it. I actually probably saw your daughter because I was the volunteer in Judge Cogliato's room with Harbor High and PCS, which I didn't know till after, because you can't know it beforehand. So I probably saw your daughter perform. Let's see, but it was inspiring to see those kids do that every year. Let's see, the other ones I wanted to highlight were, ethics training. COE sponsored ethics training, which we all have to do by the end of the year. I attended Tuesday night. It was great to see the other 40 local district school board members there and just to connect with a bunch of them. So that was good to go by that. And then you'll see on my list I submitted, I'm attending a bunch of school things in my district, and it's just to get to know the parent community and to see what's going on in the schools. And I love it. It's fun. Half the time I know people there, so it's Old Home Week, so it's great. I'll stop there.
Thank you. Roth.
Yes, did a lot of whatever everyone else has been doing. I wanted to say that I was honored that we had Mike Walsh as the facilitator for our Good Beginnings. I've seen him from afar for years, and it was really great to get to actually talk. And I do have a book that he mentioned called The Age of Grievance, which I'm about halfway through, and I will bring it. And it's a very, very interesting read that he mentioned. I did attend the Scotts Valley High School Wellness Center what was really cool for me to learn was that the students designed the actual facility and put in what they wanted. And that it's been in operation for about 2 months and very, very well received. I walked into the school with the student body president, and she was talking about how it just hit the ground and is in use all the time. And I don't know whether we want this or not, but it's what you have to sign to participate. And anyway, as far as donations go, they will accept. I'm sure Harbor will accept because they have games and crafts and whatever. So I think that's it. Oh, and the community meeting. I really liked, Ferris, that you talked about federal government versus naming or blaming the person I'm not going to name. But I really liked the focus that it is the federal government at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, sounds good. Ad hoc committees, any comments, updates from our committees? Nope.
Real quick one, I'm sorry. The Community Outreach and Legislative Committee did meet on Tuesday. It's Natalie, Bruce, myself, with Ferris and Berenice. Bruce and Ferris gave us the history of the committee. Then we brainstormed what we want to do this year, which is legislative resolutions like Bruce presented tonight. Bruce is already chair of policy, so he nominated me to be chair of this committee for the coming year. And then we also want to focus on community engagement. How do we do that effectively for the board and everything the board does? We also had so community engagement, legislation, and then a third item, which kind of deals with what's going on in DC. And it may just be a sounding board for us to vent, or maybe a place to come up with ideas and talk about what's the appropriate response that should be recommended up to the full board on those issues. The only specific action we took is we will be bringing forward to the board per the president and vice president's agreement, a recommendation to endorse the Workforce Housing Solutions Act, which is going forward in the city of Santa Cruz, and will provide a background report and resolution for board consideration of that at your next meeting. I may work in what CSBA just put out today was their sponsorship of AB 1021, which is an education workforce housing bill. That may be our first legislative bill coming forward. There.
Thank you. Next, we have the schedule of meetings and upcoming events. Our regularly scheduled meeting, March 20th, and a whole list of different events that we have coming up. I want to shout out the STEAM Expo on March 8th. I know that they're still looking for volunteers. I will be there, but have done it in the past. Really amazing experience. It's fascinating to see students choose a subject, choose a project, really dedicate, and then present it to the world, and to compete in that aspect of it. Our students tend to do pretty well. We send students to state, and most of the time they end up going nationally as well. So definitely encourage everybody to attend that one or any of those other events that are listed up there. And with that, our meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.